Hey, what's up guys? It's Mike at youarethepath.com. So I've been talking about psychological suffering and how to free yourself from the torment of the mind. And that involves the practice of looking at thought, not from thought. So when we look at thought, we realize that we're not the thoughts, we're the one that is having the thoughts. And that's where the analogy of the blue sky and the clouds comes from. So you're the blue sky. Thoughts are like clouds that enter the mind and they pass by. But when we're looking from thought, we're identifying with the thought as though it's us, but it's just the mind. It's just the ego personality. It's an aspect of us, and it's not to be fought against. In fact, when you fight against it, you give it more power. Let go. Get space from your thoughts. A good analogy is, let's say for example, you were to place your hand right up against your face, and someone asked you, what do fingers look like? And you would say, well, it's kind of dark, I can't really see the fingers. If you hold your hand a few feet in front of you, someone asks you the same question, you can describe the fingers. So it's the same with thought. You've got to take yourself, create a little distance, and that creates headspace. Once you've got the headspace, you have freedom. Another good analogy of how to treat your problems is, let's imagine that you're having a tug of war with a monster, and in between you and the monster is a pit, and you're feeling like you have to pull the monster into the pit. Otherwise, if he pulls you too far, you're going to fall into the bottomless pit. But what if all you had to do was let go of the rope? Let go and accept. Accept who you are. It's like a shadow. Shadow boxing. When you shadow box, what does your shadow do? It mimics what you do. When you stop fighting, it's going to stop fighting you. So you can, it's like forming an alliance with the negative ego. I want to share this book with you, Feeding Your Demons. I've not got very far with it. Ancient wisdom for resolving inner conflict. From what I gather from this book, the monsters, the demons, if you want to call it that, they're aspects of us. It's parts of ourselves that have unfulfilled needs. So once we feed it, and feed it as in give it the love and acknowledgement that it's looking for, when we do that, it will let go of you. But when you attempt to push it away, make it wrong, which is to make yourself wrong and feel bad about yourself for having the thoughts, it's going to stick around. Another good way of putting that across is to imagine that it's a little man getting on stage giving a song and a dance. When we're looking from thought and we believe that we are it, we're giving it a round of applause. But if we act with indifference, say the little man gets on stage and we just notice it. We just notice it and we acknowledge that it's there. And we're okay with it being there. There's that acceptance. So we can look at it and say, hey, you're looking good today. It's your show. Do whatever you wish. I'm going to get on with the dishes because that was my next thing on my agenda. And you just carry on with what you were doing. So you're just noticing that it's there. And I've been using this more and more, and it does create a lot of liberation and freedom and an okayness that the thoughts, they're not going to kill me. So I notice them, and I don't make an evaluation of it. You see, there's a difference between noticing the thought, noticing the situation that is occurring. There's a difference between that and making an evaluation. Let's say, for example, you're at a restaurant and you order soup, and the soup comes and it's cold. Now, to make an evaluation would be to say this is an outrage, and you call the waiter over and you're complaining about how the soup is cold, and there's this feeling of being a victim, of not getting your needs met, and you lose your awareness there. You don't have that groundedness of knowing where you are, knowing the time that we live in right now. There are people out there starving to death right now. So now, this isn't to say that you can notice that the soup is cold, call the waiter over, explain the situation, the soup is cold, could you warm it up please? And you may even, yes, take it a step further, and you may have an altercation at the end of the meal. You say, look, the service wasn't up to standard. But there isn't that sense of being a victim and being manipulated, and which you don't have that presence there, and it's actually harder to get people on side. You see, when you keep the presence and you treat everybody like a human being, because we don't know what's going on in their lives, maybe they're having a bad day, a bad month, a bad year, a bad life. When you look at them in the eye, you acknowledge their humanness, that shared humanity, and you explain to them the problem, you're much more likely to be able to influence them, and you're much more likely to have your needs met in a healthy manner. So look at thought, not from thought. It leads to liberation, more freedom, more options. You can just have that kind of an approach towards negative and difficult people that you may come into contact with. And you know, sometimes it's no mystery that you come into contact with such people. We're on Earth in the 21st century. There are still people right now going through their own processes of negativity, and you're going to come into contact with those people, but I use them as a learning experience, and I learn about myself, and that's how I approach it. So hope you got something from that video, guys. Catch you later. Peace.